Hello, welcome to this Q&A session on Business Advisory Services Starter Package. I'm Peter Towers, Managing Director of ESS BIZTOOls. Welcome to this overview of our discussion yesterday about the ESS BIZTOOls Business Advisory Services Starter Package. What I want to discuss with you today is some of the questions and comments that people have made to us over the last few hours. Some of them couldn't attend today, but I'm going to run through some of these questions to give you a better appreciation of what the starter package is going to achieve for bookkeepers and accountants who have not experimented with advisory services previously. I think this is a challenging opportunity for bookkeepers and accountants to be offering a broader range of professional services to your client. So the first item I want to start with refers to an article that was in the Financial Review a couple of days ago. It was headed Corporate Insolvency Spiked to a Decade High. I briefly mentioned this in the webinar yesterday, but I thought it was worthwhile just revisiting it because the article written by John Keogh and Michael Reed indicated a wave of business failures in construction, hospitality and retail has pushed up the number of monthly insolvencies to the highest in nearly a decade. That was 967 company failures in the month of February, 967. And it brought the total for the last 12 months to 9,700. Now, we all know there's difficulties out there all over Australia. What we're talking about at ESS BIZTOOls is trying to put in place a series of advisory processes that are practical and don't require enormous investment by bookkeeping firms and accountancy firms to start implementing. And what it really is good old-fashioned accounting services that are delivered every day of the year within businesses that are a bit larger. In fact, when you think about your own bookkeeping firm or your accounting firm, you're actually doing this, aren't you? You've got an administration person who looks after the day-to-day activities. And I'm sure the partners are receiving daily reports, or they could be, as to what happened yesterday. At the end of the week, you could have a weekly report prepared on productivity, and a lot of firms do that. How did you go against your productivity targets? And then at the end of the month, you could have financial accounts prepared and a comparison to your budget. That simply is what we are advocating. You coordinate that service, not do it all with your SME clients, that you overview it. You act as the chief financial officer. In other words, you set up the systems. A fair bit of that work will be done by the client's own team, their clerical team. They'll be just trained to do some slightly different work. It might be put onto a predetermined form, and the distribution will be agreed with the client. Obviously, the client would receive the reports, but he or she may want other people in the organisation to receive those reports. I'm sure they will want other people to receive it. And you, as the organiser of this whole process, that as the virtual chief financial officer, you should be receiving a copy of the report. So I don't imagine that bookkeepers or accountants are going to be involved other than setting up the original system and then viewing each day the reports. They come across your screen from your client, from the office manager in the client's firm or someone, Let's put together that information. The weekly performance report, though, is a little bit different, but it's still similar to that. It takes a bit of setting up. You will need budgets to start with. So it's which I'm going to come to in a moment, the budgets and the cash flow forecasts are very important, but to have them in place to enable the weekly performance report and profitability report to be prepared. But you would then basically train the client's team as to the information that's required. And let's think about it. It's sales, it's payroll. Now, you might be coordinating that if you're the bookkeeping firm, or if you're doing the bookkeeping within an accounting firm organization. So the key information's there. It requires a bit of thinking and analysis. You could extract 1/52nd of the annual budget for expenses, but you might want to do some modifications to that. You'll have actual payroll, for argument's sake. You will have some other actual expenditure, especially if there's been a major advertising campaign that week, which hopefully has been reflected in the sales figure. So you just wouldn't take the figure out of the annual budget. You would make sure that the cost that's been committed for this week for advertising or promotion or marketing or whatever it happens to be is reflected in the overhead expenses. Because the whole idea is to get the information for the week so that the week can be looked at in real time. This is very important. This is what the big businesses do. They break all their activities down to what I think is a series of SMEs, put an area manager in control, normally with an accountant or a very experienced office manager, bookkeeper, and some other support staff, maybe doing marketing, maybe doing advertising, maybe doing business inspections, maybe training. And then at the end of the week, which might finish on a Saturday or a Sunday, the reports are prepared. This is how we traded for the week, and the results can be determined. Now, the benefit of that is your clients receiving real-time information. The week only finished 24 or 48 hours ago. If there's a major issue that's emerged, gross profit percentage, instead of being the normal 38%, was only 22%. What caused that? That's what needs to be evaluated immediately. So you'd send that report back to the client and say, this is the problem. You'd be putting it back to the management team. It might involve some of your team members being involved in the research to try to find out what went wrong. And invariably, there is a reason that's found fairly quickly. But the real benefit for the client is if there was a problem, if someone did make a mistake or something costs a lot more money than what was originally thought when the price was set, they've got the opportunity of fixing it 2 days into the next week. It was 2 days, but they can fix it. Now compare that to what has traditionally happened to SME businesses. Most of them do not do that. Some do, but most of them do not. But big end of town does it all the time. Woolworths, Coles do it within their huge supermarkets for every one of the departments. I knew a general manager of one of those large Woolworths stores, 42 sections he had. So he received 42 weekly reports with profitability calculated for them. Turnover, all the KPIs he wanted, and he was able to sit down and have a discussion. Some were very brief, he said, because everything was going very nicely in accordance with the targets. But others, well, there were some issues. So those conversations might have taken longer. I was in the meat industry and had the opportunity to do some research as to how a gentleman, an SME, ran a business empire in Sydney that he had about 400 retail butcher shops. Now, he had them classified into over about 5 different groups, mainly depending on the suburbs they were located in. But he really implemented this weekly system. and he had a couple of relief managers. So if the expected gross profit percentage was 33% and all that was achieved was 24%, a new relief manager would turn up on the Wednesday, let's say it took them 2 days to get these results. And the first manager would be taken back to somewhere else to do some additional training or do some other work. The relief manager would go in and review the business. And if he achieved the target of 33% and the bottom line profitability that management had established, he would then be removed and the original manager would go back in. Now, as long as he then got the 33% or thereabouts in the following weeks, everything was okay. But if it fell down again to low 20s and with no explanation, that manager probably didn't last too long because he was not doing his job somewhere. A replacement manager had built it up. This is the sort of control that you can get for your clients on their businesses. And when you look at what this article is talking about, corporate insolvency spiked to a decade high. A comment from Clayton Utz, restructuring and insolvency partner, indicated that many businesses have got inadequate cash flows and trading losses. Well, I think the trading losses are created because people have the wrong selling prices. They don't achieve their targeted gross profits. They're not monitoring their results day by day, week by week, which I believe is what you can supply for your clients. So please think about it. The other comment that Clayton Utz made was that businesses have got inadequate cash flows. This was also said about 10 days ago by the managing director of MYOB, who indicated that a lot of people have got very good ideas. They start off in business, but within 6 months, they've failed because of a lack of knowledge of cash flow management. So cash flow management, when you think about it, is related back to getting regular information, getting regular financial information. But in the first place, having a business plan, having a budget and a cash flow forecast so that things can be compared to, so that on a daily, weekly basis, your client knows what the sales have got to be to achieve the target, knows what the costs have got to be, and therefore the gross profit, and is monitoring it. And your systems will help him. But when they're on their own and they trade for the 6 months that the MYOB CEO referred to, and they're not doing any of this analysis, that's why there's problems. People need assistance. So please think about it. The packages that we have, especially the starter package, but even the advisory intro package, which gets you underway on all this, will help you to be able to offer these services to your clients. I think it's very important that you have discussions with SME clients. And someone sent me a message and said, I agree with you, but what resources is ESS BIZTOOLS giving to us to enable us to be communicating this to clients? Because really, this gentleman said to me, they're not used to accountants being proactive in offering advisory services. Well, I think you should be. So the information within ESS BIZTOOLS starter package and the advisory intro package to help you communicate to your clients that you can do a lot more work for them include the SME needs analysis that I discussed in yesterday's webinar and in the webinar on Tuesday for the advisory intro package. The SME needs analysis is a series of questions for you to put to your client to try to get them to open up and talk to you. Are they happy with the business performance? Have they got concerns about the leadership team, Have they got some views on succession within the business? Are they planning to sell the business? And if so, you could start giving them suggestions of how they get the business ready for sale. Do they want to expand and they're waking up at 3 a.m. worrying where they're going to get the money from? Well, you could start talking to them about sourcing funds. Now, some of your clients won't want to go down that path. I know that, but some do. And it's becoming more and more acceptable now to raise capital from the market. Thanks to the Turnbull government, when Malcolm Turnbull was the Prime Minister, and he did understand the problems of SMEs. He invested in SMEs and made a lot of money. But we have crowdsourced funding equity raising. Your client could raise up to $5 million. Sure, they're going to have to allocate a percentage of their shares to those investors. Those investors are putting their hard-earned money into your client's business. And sure, there's going to be some changes because there will be a need to expand the board of directors. But we're talking about growing a business. And businesses need cash to grow. So if your client hasn't got the cash, and the mother-in-law won't help or has run out of money or has already put money into the business, where else are they going to turn? A lot of businesses don't have spare assets they can offer as security to a lender. So raising capital could be one of the things that you come up with in your SME needs analysis. The Business Plus newsletter, which we produce every month of the year, has 4 to 6 items in it each month. So somewhere between 48 and 60 odd items are communicated to your clients each year. And we make sure there's no replications in that 12-month period. We raise a subject, sometimes we add to it in a further edition. So my suggestion is you read the Business Plus when we produce it and upload it to our website on the second Friday of a month at 12 noon AEST, and identify which articles suit which of your clients. And if after a while you have a feeling that, oh, we've got a whole group of our clients missing out on articles, send me an email and saying, look, we've got this group of clients, Peter, that you don't seem to be writing any material that suits their requirements. Well, I'd love to hear that news, because then I can make some research and get some material put together. So please communicate if you want different type of articles produced in Business Plus. So that's a great communication tool, which I think will get you into a dialogue with your clients. The client seminars and webinars. Now, seminars have gone out of fashion a bit, I know that. Years ago, when I first started down this journey with my own accounting firm, we used to get 40 to 50 people 3 nights a week, 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. We ran seminars on business management. There was a lot of people interested. Now, since then, there's the internet's come along, and government departments and organisations, even local government councils, which is great, have got involved in educating SMEs. But it was a way of doing it. Now, you still might be able to run some seminars, not as regular as what we originally did, 3 nights a week, 30 odd weeks of the year. But you could do it, run the seminars, or you could run them as webinars. You promote it to your clients and your prospects, and you just sit there and use the slides and work your way through it. You need to do some practice, and you can do it. And the other one is client mentoring and coaching. Within the material packages that you would receive if you subscribe to ESS BIZTOOLS, you've got mentoring and coaching packages for various matters that you could utilize to open up the dialogue with your client. Someone else sent me a note and said, Peter, how's all this help us with our talent? Well, thanks for that question. I really was hoping someone would raise that. As I view the accounting scene today, and I'm not the senior partner in an accounting firm anymore, I've gone into this consulting and supporting ESS BIZTOOLS role. I know there's a lot of difficulties, and I know that a regular complaint is attracting and retaining talent, keeping them motivated. Well, unfortunately, if your firm is built around preparing annual accounts and tax returns, I think that gets a bit boring after a while, to be honest. And if you're a bookkeeping firm and you just got staff sitting there writing up cash books and doing bank reconciliations, perhaps preparing a profit and loss account, but really it's not going any further. There's no attempt to talk to the client who you know might be doing something different, like research and development, or you don't have familiarity with how the export market development grant works. So there's not a communication with the client. The concept of at least having a conversation with a client about capital raising is a bit daunting because you don't know enough about it and you've got no resources at your fingertips. Well, that's what we are giving you. Those resources at your fingertips that you can go to and print an article off and give it to your client. Now, a decision you've got to make if you open up and tell a client about research and development, that they've got to be a company, they've got to spend more than $20,000 in the year on legitimate research and development activities. They've got to keep records. They've got to identify a hypothesis or hypotheses, and some of these technical terms come into it. If you don't want to go any further, that's okay, but please refer them on. Make sure that they talk to their accountant. Or if you're an accounting firm and you're not prepared to go any further with them on R&D, refer them on to someone else. And if you can't think of someone else, you can contact me. And either we will offer to do that work through our own consulting firm, which we undertake clients in Australia, all over the place, or we will work with you to find another one of our members, closer locality to you, who can do that service as a special arrangement. Not to take over the client, but a special arrangement to do that work. So please think about that. But what's all this mean to your talent? Well, it means that they're getting involved in some additional activities. They can see that the role is just not this small concept of preparing a set of documents, which if they're accountants, it's basically just to satisfy the government's requirements that they receive a tax return each year. They don't even get the financial accounts anymore, but you've got to prepare them to supply the line information, don't you? And bookkeepers, of course, well, you're at the coalface with a lot of these people. You are dealing with them daily, weekly, monthly. Why not take it a bit further and be able to offer them advice? We have bookkeepers already subscribing as members to ESS BIZTOOls. In fact, 2 of them are subscribers to our biggest package, the financial forecasting package, which incorporates budgets and cash flow forecasts using the Plain Guru software. And they're going very well with it. And they're offering those services to their clients. So please think about it. I think all this helps your talent. It gives them something different to think about. It's not going to get rid of the compliance work, of course. You still need to do that. It's very good cash flow. But it will give you the opportunity to encourage your team, your talent, to get involved in other things. Please get them involved in it. Develop some champions. You might be able to develop a champion on research and development. And you can upgrade your subscription at any time to ESS BIZTOOls. And you have the opportunity to just subscribe separately for a separate package. For argument's sake, research and development. You mightn't want to completely upgrade your package, but you just want research and development. So you can take the clients through on the total journey. And just a reminder, if any of you watching this recording are advising clients on research and development at present, that the 30th of April is just around the corner. and you have to lodge your return, which is called the R&D Tax Incentive Application - registration of R&D activities by the 30th of April with Oz Industry on behalf of the Department of Science and Industry. And they do the initial vetting and then issue a reference number which you then include in the tax return, or whoever prepares the tax return includes, to tell the tax office that that documentation's been received by Oz Industry. And at this stage, they're happy with it. So that's the talent situation. I think if you take on this work, you will get people who are very interested in it and are keen to be involved. I think you need to be offering a proactive business information service to your clients, and that's how we are pitching the ESS BIZTOOls package. And someone has asked me some questions about that. I think that starts with having an awareness of grants, particularly the key ones. And if there is a disaster or some other event that occurs that has a dramatic effect on your area, having an understanding of the grants that the state and federal government then issue is important. So you can consult with your clients, whether you're the bookkeeper or the accountant. But there are some specific grants, and I've already referred to a couple of them today. The Export Market Development Grant is a huge grant. And unfortunately, my observation is a lot of accountants and bookkeepers don't know it's there, don't understand it. It's very important for your clients. And it is advisory service. The same thing with research and development. Billions of dollars are spent on research and development in Australia every year. A significant amount of it by the small end of town, which for R&D is companies with turnovers under $20 million. The Ombudsman for Small Business, the Australian government's appointed Ombudsman, reported about a year ago that around 67% of the expenditure in the under 20 million turnover companies, which spent $3.8 billion, 67% of that related to very small entities. So how many of them are those people are your clients? And if they're your clients, are you handling their research and development processes? Or have they gone somewhere else? And the problem with that is, I think sooner or later you'll lose them as a client altogether because you're not supplying all their services. Now, I know we can't hang on to clients forever because some of them grow or some of them won't grow, and your firm is geared up to supplying a higher range of services. But I think it's nice to start working with them at the beginning. If any of you have listened to me or watched our Accountants Minutes, you would have heard the name of Andrew Geddes, one of the joint founders of the Financial Management Research Centre at the University of New England in Armidale. And Andrew worked with a small veterinary surgery business that started in Townsville. One vet and one receptionist secretary. And 35 years ago, Andrew had met the guy that was that vet, and in his final year of university, in some training program that Andrew Geddes had run for them about how do you conquer the big wide world. And Geddes was asked by this gentleman, Dr. Glenn Richards, whether he would continue to meet with him. And Andrew Geddes is a very friendly guy, and he said, by all means. Well, that one-man veterinary surgery, one nurse, grew to Green Cross, the major Australian veterinary business that Geddes become the chair of for 10 years to become a top 200 ASX company. It's the sort of success story you can have with your clients. Andrew was a consultant for that 35-year period, and then had a lot to do with the acquisitions that Green Cross went on with, where they bought into the business a whole stack of veterinary surgeons who sold their practices into the company in exchange for shares, as I understand it. But they also bought allied businesses, pet food businesses, pet food suppliers, and put them all together. So there were some significant challenges at a board level, at a management level, leadership level. And it just shows me, when I look back at that story, and I've been aware of that for many years, what can happen for an advisor working with a firm. Some of them really do grow into very large businesses. Okay, well, that's my summary of follow-on items, some of the questions. I've got a few more, but I think our time's just about up. If you want to talk to me about how ESS BizTools can assist your bookkeeping or accounting firm to embrace this concept of supplying advisory services to your SME clients, please contact me. You can send me an email, peter@essbiztools.com.au, or give me a phone call, 1800 232 088, and I'll be happy to organise a 30-minute Zoom meeting with you and your colleagues to explore how you could introduce advisory services to your firm. Stay safe. Have a great day. Goodbye.